Don't, Hello, my friends. It is so nice to be here once again after a year and a half doing a discussion video for a regular, plain old, run-of-the-mill, regular old Nintendo Direct. Feels really good. Just got done watching it, poked through it again, you know, looking at the different games, and I kind of have, I got like my highlights here. I'll talk about some of the individual stuff, and then at the end, I'll kind of talk about how it was as a whole. I will not be covering everything, because there was a lot to cover. This is just kind of the stuff that, you know, stuck out to me, is relevant to me. So it started out with Pyra and Mithra in Smash. This is one of those things where it doesn't really excite me on pretty much any level. And I think it is another anime sword fighter. It really is. And I know, like, I get the frustration. I'm not one of those people who's that mad about it, but I can imagine that those people are not happy when it just keeps happening again and again and again. But, so yeah, I mean, it's great for Xenoblade fans. You know what I mean? Like, if they gave me, you know, some series that I like that doesn't really sell that well, the series is really not that big of a thing when it comes to sales. And yet Nintendo is, they're pushing it. So in a way, it's like throwing a bone to that fan base, which makes me very happy for them. You know, it's nice when a Smash character is a big, huge thing that a lot of people can get behind, but it's also nice to throw people a bone. I think this is Nintendo pushing the series. I think this is a strategic pick. Nintendo wants it to be a bigger series. They don't know why it's not a bigger series. They look like great games. They're big, epic games, and they just don't sell that well. I think this is them trying to re-inject some hype back into it. I mean, you know, Smash is always a good marketing tool, gets everybody all buzzed and stuff about a character. It's going to get people to try Xenoblade, or, you know, theoretically, people see this character and the hype around it, so they want to go try the games. It makes sense. So to me, Pyra Mithra seems like a very calculated marketing strategy, and I can get behind that, even if it doesn't super excite me. So then the Direct went into a good number of ports, a good number of third-party ports, which is a little surprising because they were doing partner showcases, and I kind of thought that those were going to keep getting a lot of the main stuff, but they might be done with that. They might be done doing the partner showcases as long as they have regular Nintendo Directs, because they revealed a ton of stuff. You got, like, Fall Guys is a decently good deal, you know, Outer Wilds. There were a bunch. I'm not going to go through, like, a ton of them, and then there were, like, some, you know, Legend of Mana remake. Like, that looks pretty cool. Lots of little JRPGs and stuff. Like, there was a lot. Like, I mean, if they were still doing partner showcases, they probably could have split. They could have had 3 based on just what they had in this Direct here. So that was pretty cool. All right, so I predicted a Mario Golf game this year. It is not that impressive. I also predicted one last year. It's inevitable. A Mario sports game of some kind. Completely inevitable. So they did it. Super Rush. I have to say, I'm not trying to be super duper negative, and I know that this trailer is it's clearly just showing a very basic area. There's gonna be more. I think it's just a thing. Whenever they reveal a thing first, they want to go with like the super base. I don't really know why. You'd think they would want to wow you with like the coolest stuff the game has. Not that I want them to spoil everything. Point is though, the trailer's a little plain. It just started. It's just like, hey, look, it's Mario. He's playing golf. There's like grass and trees and stuff, and you know what I mean? It didn't do a lot to hype me up. I'm like, where's the Mario craziness? Where's like the big, cool spectacle and crazy powers and stuff? It seems very technical and kind of straightforward. And I don't know if I'm super into that. However, there's clearly a lot to like about it. The whole like speed golf thing, I think that's super clever. I think that looks very, very fun. That is very Nintendo-y right there. And then the story mode, I was burned by Mario Tennis Aces story mode. I thought I was getting something cool, ended up being really bare bones and kind of This one looks like it has more potential, though. It even shows them like doing their stat upgrades and stuff. So that is definitely, like, I'm not sure on the game. I think I'll probably get it just to review it. I probably wouldn't if I weren't reviewing it. But things like story mode, you know me, if there's gonna be something to get me into your sports game or whatever, it's gonna be the story, the campaign, you know, like take a genre I'm not super into, but you put a story into it. That's how you do it. So, I mean, like, it does look fun. It's nice that it's coming in only a few months. So that's good. That's just another thing for the first half of the year. Awesome. That's, you know, plenty of people are gonna be super excited about that one. So that's cool. Yeah, I just wish it was a little flashier. Just I don't know, Super Rush. It's just kind of plain. My idea was better. Dimensional tour, something big and flashy and fun and weird. I don't know. But that's just me. What else do we got? We got No More Heroes 3. If you saw my reaction, you know, a lot of these talking points I kind of mentioned in my like live reaction or whatever, but I'll go over them again here. It looks really cool. It's another, No More Heroes is another one of those series I can really appreciate. It looks really cool and funny and creative, and I wish I were into it, but I'm really not. I don't know, then I see the gameplay. It just doesn't really appeal to me, I guess, for a number of reasons. But it still looks cool, though. So I don't know how big of an audience there is for that. I have absolutely no idea. I don't know how well the ports or the remasters sold. Who knows? But it's cool. It's a Switch exclusive, and it's coming pretty soon. So that's nice. Miitopia is cool. It was a little out of left field. You know, just one of those little 3DS Mii games. I'm almost kind of surprised they didn't port over like a bunch of them. I know you can't do all of them, you know, all the Street Pass ones or whatever. It's not quite the same. Miitopia was like the full version of the little RPG on the 3DS, which I really liked, but I didn't play Miitopia, so it's kind of cool. I might get into it. I hope the pricing is good. That's kind of like, they probably sold it for full price on the 3DS, but it really feels like a little download title. Anything over like 20 is gonna be a pretty hard sell. But we'll see. It's at least cool, you know. It's cool that it's a thing. It's cool that it's an option. It's not super duper exciting, but it's yet another little thing that makes you go, all right, yeah, that's pretty cool. I did expect more Animal Crossing, and I think we're gonna be getting more. I mean, like, there's no guarantee that we're gonna get some big, huge, like, March, you know, 1 year anniversary update. I think a lot of people are hoping for that. I'm trying to think of my hopes. They're gonna do something for sure, but I don't know if it's gonna be like a big, huge deal. So they might end up doing that in like its own direct or something like that, or even just one of those little Twitter reveal videos. I thought there'd be more, but it's really just the Mario stuff. That's really all they said was the Mario stuff. And it's pretty basic, you know, costumes, little blocks and stuff, but that warp pipe, that's amazing. That is a real functional thing. That you can warp to, like, I presume any other part of the island. That's actually really cool. I think that is functionally a very terrific update. So that's at least kind of a nice little surprise in what would have otherwise been a very basic little Mario content crossover, you know, the kind we're pretty used to by now. So then there was this little fake out. Did you know, am I the only one who took it this way? So, like, talking about whatever, and then, hey, just last week, we released Super Mario 3D World Plus Bowser's Fury. We just did that. Well, I've got another game to show you here. It's completely unrelated to Mario. They went into a triangle strategy. I thought that was kind of funny. Speaking of triangle strategy, awesome. Super duper duper awesome that we're getting a follow-up to Octopath Traveler. I still have not played it, but I really want to. I think it's the game looks really terrific. I think it's super duper awesome that it was on Switch, and it's great that they are rolling with it. They're making another. It seems to be it's a bit of a follow-up, but it's also strategy based, which is cool because it's also sort of play. I mean, you know, the whole thing is playing on old RPGs. It's kind of a new, you know, it's got the classic vibe and the graphics and everything. But tactics games, those were a big thing back then too. So I don't know. I think it's a really cool idea that they wanted to do a follow up, but kind of do something new with it. That name though, no, Octopath Traveler was a bad name. I didn't like it, and they went with it anyway. And they can't do that this time. They can't like it. Octopath Traveler. I mean, it ended up it kind of, you know, grew on me at least a little bit. It's got something of a ring to it. Triangle Strategy does not, though. That's like a mobile game name. They cannot keep the same name. Oh yeah, I was joking in the in the reaction. That's like the war for salt and iron. It's the Salt Iron War. But then, like, that's just the temporary name. And then they ended up going with it anyway. It's a joke about how Octopath Traveler was a working title, and then it was a real thing. It was a great joke. You should have been there. No, yeah, Triangle Strategy. Very, very cool. Bad name. Don't keep the name, please. Very, very cool reveal, though. So then they announced Hyrule Warriors DLC, which was a very, very, very likely thing for this Direct. You know, the game came out a few months ago, and why would it not have DLC? It was pretty inevitable. Disappointing that they didn't really say anything about it. This was weird. Considering how much time some other games got, which I will talk about in a bit, it was weird that they, I mean, like, it didn't show anything. It was just like a page that just wrote out what it was going to be in it, and like nobody to even say the words and no elaboration. I literally had to go back. I had to go back and watch it again and pause so I could see what the DLC was going to give us, which I thought was just kind of weird. You know, usually if you accuse a direct of anything, it's giving you too much information about something. But not in this case, though. So, it's an expansion pass. It's $20. It does not seem super substantial. And that's the thing is, like, I didn't know if they were going to try to do story content just because it's hard. How do you fit more story into the story? You know what I mean? This seems to be one of those things. It's kind of what I expected. I guess that's what I predicted, isn't it? Just like some new characters. We don't know which ones yet, and I don't know if they're going to reveal them ahead of time because, like, finding out who was a character was kind of the fun in the game. But new characters and, like, items and new challenges, and then in the second chunk, it's, like, story vignettes, which could just be, like, little animated bits. And then it just says, like, new stages. I don't know if that just means, like, new maps, or if that does mean new story content or a story campaign or something. We don't really know. I'm kind of not getting my hopes up on that front. It's only $20. It's not $30, like a lot of the other expansion passes have been. Just seems like it's going to be kind of just stuff, you know, items and challenges and characters. And I mean, like, that'd be cool, too. I'd be fine with that. I like story content. But we'll just have to wait and see. I just thought it was weird how they handled it. It's really, really weird. How they just kind of like, it's Hyrule Warriors DLC. It's going to be this. I don't know, whatever, though. We'll talk about it later. And speaking of Zelda, I do not know at this point if we are going to get a Zelda-themed anniversary direct, because they had a good number of Zelda announcements in this video right here. I feel like they would have saved some of these. So you got the Hyrule Warriors thing. And then they had a little fake out. I mean, the second I saw Onuma, I'm like, definitely Breath of the Wild 2, even though that wasn't exactly realistic. When they show that, it'll probably be like, just boom, you know, beginning or the end of the direct. That'll be the trailer. So that was disappointing. He did say we have to wait until later. I hope not too much later, because I want it. I want to play the game. I don't want to wait until way later in the year before we get info, because then we might not even get it this year. And I'd really like to have it this year. It's been a long time. Give us the game, but we'll see. I mean, that's the thing. We don't know we don't know if there's going to be more directs. I'll talk about that in a bit. So then, Skyward Sword. I am not the biggest Skyward Sword fan. I played it, and I loved it. I loved all of the new things it brought to the formula. It's kind of a halfway step. You know, it's like it's traditional in some ways, but then experiments in other ways, and that really opened the door for Breath of the Wild. So I appreciate it in that way. But when I played it the second time, I hated it. There were elements about it that just drove me nuts on the second playthrough. And I don't know, I guess I should play it again and kind of give it another go and just see. But I just have very, very, very conflicting feelings on Skyward Sword. But lots of people liked it, and now the motion controls, as many people probably have, I've tried to imagine how they might do it on the Switch with traditional controls, and the only thing I could think of was moving the stick around, but that didn't seem like it would be enough. It didn't seem like it would be intuitive enough. I feel like you'd get tired of it, of just wiggling the stick around all over the place. But that's how they're doing it. That's how they did it. I kind of thought they would just be like, no handheld play, but I'm really glad they went the extra mile. They're doing the stick controls. I don't know how they're going to work, but they're doing it. Didn't think they would, but I was wrong. They are. One fear I have, and I don't think this is me being too pessimistic, because this is a thing we see with Nintendo, is how they have different controls for handheld and docked that you cannot change, you know, like Mario Galaxy. If you're in handheld, you can't use the gyro cursor. You have to use the touchscreen. That's absurd. And I really hope we're not going to see the same thing here, where if you're playing docked, no, you have to use the Joy-Cons. You have to use the motion controls. The stick is only for handheld play. I really, really hope. I mean, probably not, but it's possible. They've done that multiple times. Pokemon Let's Go, same thing. It's different in handheld than it is docked, and you can't change it, and you can't cross them over. And it's terrible. So here's hoping. Yeah, I guess I probably got to play Skyward Sword again. That's, little disappointing. But, I mean, hey, it's a Zelda game. It's a big 3D Zelda game. That's a big deal. That is another thing coming this year that we can just look forward to. It makes me worried about Breath of the Wild 2. It does, because usually Nintendo gives us one Zelda game a year. It could be an original, it can be a port, it can be a remaster, it can be a spin-off. So this is a big port. This is the Zelda before Breath of the Wild. It's a decently big deal. Are they gonna release that in the same year as the next mainline Zelda game? I really don't know. It does have me worried, but it's cool though. I mean, people like Skyward Sword. Some people didn't sell very well, so I don't know. I actually don't know how well this one will sell. But if the stick controls work, then that's gonna remove a big fat barrier to entry. So there you go. Oh man, those Joy-Cons. You see those Joy-Cons? Those are beautiful. I really like those. Yeah, so it's still to be seen if we'll get a full Zelda Direct at this point. I'm not sure. Okay, so the big one, the one more thing, it was Splatoon 3. I don't get it. I think I might have to make a whole video on this because I don't understand it. I thought people asking for Splatoon 3 were out of their minds. I thought, no, why wouldn't it? They have Splatoon 2. That's the Switch one. You know, on the Switch 2, maybe we'll get Splatoon 3, but why would you make another one when you already have one and you spent so much time updating it and turning it into what it is now? And the player base is so big. The player base is massive. Why would you just do another one? Why? I mean, like, it's not even that it's not appreciated. It's just why? I wouldn't think that they would be motivated. As a fan, I think it's great. But like for them, why would they want to do that? Anyway, like I said, I might do a video on it because it confuses me. It was very teasery. I'm a little disappointed though because like, if you're gonna make a Splatoon 3, like I'm sure it'll be great, like just because of their track record, I'm sure the story and everything will be really cool. I was looking, it's kind of like the Mario Golf thing. I want that extra little bit to make me like why is this a thing? You know, why is Splatoon 3 a thing? I mean, like we did get the teaser at the beginning. They're going through the desert. That's really, really cool. And then you go to the new city. But and we saw some new stuff. We saw like a bow. We saw like new weapons. A different way to drop on the map, that kind of thing. But there was no one thing that was like, this is Splatoon 3, you know? Not that they necessarily need it. They've got plenty of, it doesn't come out till next year. They've got plenty of time to hype it up and give us more info and stuff. But I don't know, you know me, I like a good presentation, and I feel like it could have used that little thing to make us go, hey, whoa, you're onto something here. You know, like a little glimpse at the story. I mean, maybe that's what the desert thing was, but it kind of also just seems like it's a new place. I don't know what that does, what that's gonna do. I don't know if it's gonna have another really small single-player campaign or if they are gonna weave a much bigger story thing into it. And what about the salmon run? I need the salmon run. I don't know, all this info will come later. I guess I just wanted a little bit more to kind of sink my teeth into, to get me excited about what Splatoon 3 is gonna be. Whereas right now, we have some vague stuff and like, well, the other ones are great, so it's gonna be great. And it's fun, that's technically enough. It's enough to get me to buy it. So I suppose it's not a big deal. So, I mean, it's really great having another thing to look forward to in future directs and stuff. More info on Splatoon 3, you know? Like, oh, when are we gonna get our next Breath of the Wild 2 thing? When are we get our next... Like, another thing to look forward to that's not a million years in the future, you know? And speaking of the future and Nintendo Directs, I was listening for hints. Every time he was talking about Directs, oh, I'm sorry, we couldn't do Directs for a while, but we're happy to be doing this one. He did not drop any hints about whether or not there would be more going forward in the year, but I am pretty darn convinced that we are going to get more. They were right that a tremendous amount of this Direct was focused on titles for the first half of this year. And, you know, Splatoon was like next year. That's way far off. But there really was not a lot for the second half of this year. This feels like they set it up for more. Like, it wasn't the most super duper crazy exciting Direct ever. But like, because of that, it feels like a regular quarterly Direct, and we're gonna get another one in 3 months. You know what I mean? We might not, but that's at least, it's almost like if they had put all their eggs in one basket, it would have been like, wow, best Direct ever. But then, man, are we gonna get another one this year? It was so many announcements. So I don't know. So yeah, it wasn't the most exciting Direct, but I didn't expect the most exciting Direct. It was very similar to the September 2019 Direct, the one that I said was only okay and everyone got mad at me. It felt very similar to that, where it was really, really long and felt a little bloated and had kind of a lot of smaller announcements, you know, like smaller, more niche stuff that's gonna hit a smaller crowd, not as many like big, heavy hitters. But I mean, Skyward Sword is Zelda, that's a big deal. Splatoon is a big deal. Mario Golf, that'll be a decent seller. So it's not like, I would say it's better than the September one, but it's still kind of in that territory where it was lots of little stuff kind of spread out. Splatoon really did seal it as like, I mean, that alone is enough to bump it up quite a few notches, because that's just a big deal. Splatoon is a big, huge thing. I would say presentation-wise, it did not need to be as long as it was, you know, because I judge these based on like what was in, you know, what was revealed, and then also just kind of entertainment value, and that was one of the things with the September 2019 one. I didn't think it was very entertaining the way that it was structured, and I think we're seeing that similarly here. It felt, this is something that I don't know how Nintendo secures companies and like who gets what trailers and what gets into a Direct. I could be wrong here, but there was a lot of EA in this Direct, and I would not be surprised if EA paid Nintendo a big chunk of money. They said, hey, everyone's gonna be watching this Direct. It's the first Direct in a long time. Can we give you a bunch of money to cram a bunch of EA games in there? I could be wrong, but that's kind of the impression I got. There was a lot of stuff in there that did not need as much screen time as it got, especially when Hyrule Warriors gets a blip that I have to pause to read. You know what I mean? Like the DC girls thing. It looks like a mobile game. I don't know if that's EA or not. Maybe not, but it was still just like a thing that's like, why is this here? Why are we talking about this? I don't know. Just a lot of smaller titles and that kind of stuff. It just went on too long. It felt like there were too many trailers that went on too long. You know, anytime you focus on a thing that you don't even exactly know what it is, and most people watching don't really know what it is, but you still just kind of have to watch it play out for minutes and minutes. Yeah, it felt a little too bloated. It felt a little too much like that. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if that is Nintendo, you know, taking money to put stuff into things. I don't know, whatever. I do that. I get sponsored, so I can't necessarily blame them. But in terms of entertainment value, it was a little long. It could have been a little better. But it was a Nintendo Direct. It was a Nintendo Direct, and I'm so happy that I am saying those words. And it was solid, you know? And if they're gonna do more in the future, then I'm absolutely, like, you know, not too broken up about this one being like, you know, pretty good. You know, because if there's gonna be more, there's gonna be more. We'll be talking about this in 3 months. Oh, I really hope there are more. But I could go on. I should let you go. That was fun. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to my discussion of the Direct. Please head on down to the comments and tell me what you thought about the Nintendo Direct. Tell me what your favorite reveals were, what your least favorite reveals were, what your medium, just say all of the reveals in a list. Don't do that. That doesn't make any sense. Don't do that one. Anyway, let me know. I love you. Have a good day. Goodbye.